Hello and welcome to TVB News. China's Shenzhou 18 manned spaceship will take off tonight at 8:59 p.m. The three astronauts earlier attended a start of mission ceremony at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China. Timothy Lee has our top story.
叶光富、航天员李聪、航天员李广苏，出发！
Shortly after 6 p.m. on Thursday, astronauts Ye Guangfu, Li Tong, and Li Guangsu participated in a see-off ceremony before their space mission. They were then escorted by police to the spacecraft. The Long March 2F carrier rocket carrying the three-man crew is set to be launched at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. Technical staff arrived at the launch site at around 2 p.m. to conduct a final review of the rocket's launch capabilities. Local meteorologists expected the temperature at the launch site to be between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius at the time of the launch, while the wind strength is estimated to be between force 3 and 4 on the Beaufort scale.
目前的话，火箭飞船的状态良好。
A spokesperson from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center said the weather fulfills the condition for a smooth takeoff, and all the preparations are complete. The Shenzhou 18 mission is the first such mission to take place in April since the construction of the space station. Because it is sandstorm season in the area around the launch site, workers had to observe wind changes daily and place windbreaker material over the facility. Meanwhile, the China Manned Space Agency revealed some projects by research organizations in Hong Kong and Macau may be applicable to the work conducted at the space station. Just last year, representatives of the nation's space program met with students of the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Some of the university staff believe the school's participation in the space mission will greatly benefit research work in Hong Kong. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
4 suppliers listed on the government's green tableware platform today displayed their products made with eco-friendly material. This after the city launched a policy on Monday to restrict the use of single-use plastics. Mimo Singhai reports.
This food container is made of paper cellulose. The cutlery is made of paper, wood, and bamboo. Under the first phase of the government's ban on disposable plastic tableware, restaurants can no longer provide polystyrene food containers, as well as plastic forks, knives, spoons, stirrers, and plates. The Environmental Protection Department today invited 4 suppliers to present their eco-friendly tableware. One of the problems with non-plastic cutlery that diners usually find is the impracticality of those items. For instance, it is tricky to scoop up rice with paper spoons. The supplier said the design of these spoons is important.
Well, I talk about the design because it's straight, so the force will transfer directly into the rice in a straight line. Not like the soap spoon, it has a curve, so the force will be gathered at the joint, so it will destroy the spoon instead.
A supplier who developed materials for making eco-friendly cutlery poured boiled water into a cellulose food container to show the durability of the material.
Technology and industry have to be together. We believe the windows are here.
Users of paper straws are often not happy with the products as they easily get soggy. The supplier said 4 layers of paper are used in the production of the straws. However, he said improvements will be made if necessary by increasing the number of paper layers. The special design of this cutlery item helps reduce the material used. However, the cutlery has a greater chance of being snapped if users play with it too much. The green tableware platform currently has 64 endorsed suppliers, providing more than 700 types of non-plastic food containers and cutlery.
The platform was set up in 2022 by the Environmental Protection Department. It hopes to help the F&B industry and the public gain a better understanding of other available options in the market. Mimo Singhai, TVB News.
The Immigration Department estimated around 5.9 million people will travel across the border during the mainland's Golden Week holidays, starting on May 1st. A peak in people flow at the border crossings is expected to take place on the 1st of next month. Various government departments will deploy extra staff to handle the increased traffic. Authorities predicted the Lowu port will be the busiest crossing, with an estimated 200,000 people crossing the border per day, while an average of 170,000 and 130,000 will pass through the Lok Ma Chau spur line and Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau bridge control points per day, respectively. Around 1 million people are estimated to cross the border to enter Hong Kong on the 1st of May. This as immigration authorities will deploy an extra 200 officers to handle cross-border services. The government has approved City Bus's application for importation of workers. Authorities have given the green light to 20 such workers, and the first batch will include 5 drivers for non-franchised bus services. The 5 imported drivers will take local driving tests. If they pass the tests, they will only drive non-franchised buses, such as sightseeing or staff buses. City Bus believes such an arrangement will release more manpower for franchised bus services. It is understood the imported drivers will receive lower pay and fewer benefits than local staff. Some labor groups, including the Federation of Trade Unions, have opposed the labor importation scheme. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Beijing on his current visit to China. Earlier today, while he was in Shanghai, he called on China to provide a level playing field for American businesses as he began his first full day of meetings in the country. His visit is aimed at resolving a raft of contentious issues that could jeopardize the newly repaired relationship between the U.S. and China. He will hold what's expected to be contentious talks with central government officials tomorrow. Tracy Furness has more.
Blinken's visit to China came about following a phone call in early April between President Xi Jinping and US President Joe Biden, where they expressed hope that a visit by Blinken to China could be arranged. Issues on the table range from global trade to military communications. Blinken arrived in Shanghai yesterday, shortly before President Biden signed a $95 billion foreign aid package containing several elements likely to anger the Chinese, including $8 billion to counter Beijing's stance towards Taiwan.
Hi, I see you. Very nice to see you. Thank you for welcoming.
Blinken opened his first full day of meetings today by talking to Shanghai's Chinese Communist Party Secretary Chen Jiang. Chen said, China-US ties are the most important bilateral relations in the world. Since the establishment of diplomatic ties, the relationship has not always been smooth, but overall it has progressed forward.
We have an obligation for our people, and indeed an obligation for the world to manage the relationship between our two countries responsibly. That is the obligation that we have, and one that we take very seriously. And I think the direction from President Biden and President Xi was to continue to build those lines of communication, to sustain them, and again, to deal directly with our differences as we also seek to build cooperation.
Discussions with Chen centered around concerns about China's trade policies and non-market economic practices. China dismissing as groundless criticism that its manufacturing capacity is excessive, adding that its industries from electric vehicles to solar panels are competitive and innovative. While in Shanghai, Blinken also met with business leaders at the American Chamber of Commerce. He also had discussions with students in Shanghai at New York University's local campus. Blinken arrived in Beijing late Thursday afternoon for what are expected to be contentious talks on Friday with national officials, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi and possibly President Xi Jinping. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Heavy rainfall continues to affect parts of Guangdong province, with some places reporting hailstorms. Mainland meteorological authorities said the record for rainfall across southern China this month, is the second highest in 63 years. Hail plummeted from the sky in the city center of Shanwei and Haifeng County this morning. It is the first large-scale case of hailstorms in the area in the last 8 years. Shenzhen experienced heavy thunderstorms last night, with the city having recorded close to 1,200 lightning strikes within 2 hours. Meanwhile, some Guangzhou residents were struck by lightning while working in the field. Local authorities noted the rainfall this month is the second highest since 1961. Several high-speed rail services traveling between the mainland and Hong Kong have been suspended or diverted because of unstable weather conditions in southern China. This as the Guangdong coast continues to be affected by a trough of low pressure. At least 8 train services traveling between the West Kowloon MTR station and the Guangzhounan station were canceled. Meanwhile, the MTR Corporation said the G6510 and G6511 high-speed rail services, originally going between West Kowloon and Guangzhounan, will now only travel between West Kowloon and Shenzhen Bay. Stay with us. More news coming up. Welcome back. U.S. President Joe Biden said he was immediately rushing badly needed weaponry to Ukraine as he signed into law a $95 billion funding package that also included assistance for Israel and Taiwan. It marks an end to the long, painful battle with Republicans in Congress over urgently needed assistance for Ukraine, whose forces are vastly outnumbered by Russian troops and running short of weapons and ammunition. Ukraine will benefit to the tune of around $61 billion. Nazvi Karim with more.
In a bunker near Bakhmut, Ukrainian soldiers from Special Team Code 9.2 prepare a drone to attack Russian forces who overran the eastern town last year after an 8-month siege. These soldiers would prefer to use artillery shells, but they're in short supply. Not for long after U.S. President Joe Biden signed a bill that provides $61 billion in funding for Ukraine's war effort. And the shells, along with air defense systems and other weapons, are probably already on their way to the front lines, using $1 billion from the package.
It's a good day for America, it's a good day for Europe, and it's a good day for world peace, for real. I'm making sure the shipments start right away. In the next few hours, literally the few hours, we're going to begin sending in equipment to Ukraine for air defense munitions, for artillery, for rocket systems, and armored vehicles. You know, this package is literally an investment, not only in Ukraine's security, but in Europe's security.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Biden for his support. He said, no matter what anyone says, we are securing the support we need to further protect lives from Russian attacks. Outside of the latest package, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the U.S. supplied Ukraine with long-range ballistic missiles. They were used to recently attack a Russian airfield on the Crimean Peninsula. Military experts say the latest weapons deal is likely to only slow down Russia's recent rapid gains on the battlefield in a war that is likely to last years. Of the $91 billion package approved by Congress after 6 months of furious debate, $26 billion is going to Israel, including a portion for Palestinian humanitarian aid in Gaza.
My commitment to Israel, I want to make clear again, is ironclad. The security of Israel is critical. It will always make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself against Iran and terrorists it supports. But at the same time, this bill significantly increases humanitarian assistance we're sending to the innocent people of Gaza who are suffering badly.
The bill also provides for the freezing of Russian assets in the U.S., likely to be valued at $5 billion, and redirecting that money to aid Ukraine's war effort. For the soldiers of Code 9.2, it couldn't come soon enough. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
A top political official of Palestinian group Hamas has told the Associated Press it would lay down its arms if a two-state solution can be established with Israel. The remarks by Khalil al-Hayya in Turkey come after ceasefire talks mediated by Qatar and Egypt have stalled. Khalil said Hamas could agree on a truce of 5 years or more with Israel if an independent Palestinian state is established on pre-1967 borders incorporating Gaza, the occupied West Bank, and East Jerusalem. It appears to be a concession by Hamas, though Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to destroy the group and its ability to govern. This includes a looming offensive into the southern Gaza area of Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering. China has spoken out against the inclusion of Taiwan-related content in the military funding bill that was passed by the U.S. Congress. Zhu Fengliang, spokeswoman for the State Council Taiwan Affairs Office, said the Taiwan question is purely China's internal affair and should not be subject to external interference. She said the $8 billion going to Taiwan seriously violates the One China principle and the provisions of the 3 China-U.S. joint communiques. It also sends the wrong signal, she said, to the island's separatist forces, urging the U.S. to stop arming Taiwan in any way. In Taipei, a spokesman said the island's leaders expressed gratitude to the U.S. government. The U.S. package covers a wide range of parts and services aimed at maintaining and upgrading Taiwan's military hardware. The U.S. government has taken the first steps to a possible ban on popular video app TikTok, but the Chinese-owned company has vowed to fight back via the courts. Critics of the bill argue it violates users' First Amendment rights and is unconstitutional. The congressional bill that the U.S. president signed into law on Wednesday calls for TikTok's main owner, ByteDance, to either sell its stake in the U.S. within 9 months or face a ban. TikTok CEO Shuji Chu called the move ironic, saying the freedom of expression featured on the app reflects American values. TikTok has around 170 million users in the United States, many who make a living out of the app. In New York City, pro-Palestinian demonstrators at Columbia University heckled U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday. This as Johnson visited the flashpoint of nationwide student protests over Israel's war in Gaza. After meeting with Columbia University President Minouche Shafik, Johnson called on her to resign if she cannot tamp down the protests at the school. More on that from NBC News.
Pro-Palestinian demonstrators clashing today with riot pleas at the University of Texas in Austin. Students attempting to occupy space on campus were stopped by police and forced back. UT, the latest school caught in a wave of protests on college campuses, in solidarity with students at Columbia University who demand their school cut financial ties to Israel. In California, a rally at USC that turned tense, officials closing the gates to the campus. At Harvard, students raced to set up tents. There was a walkout today at the University of Illinois, and the encampment at the University of Michigan is growing.
The movement's never been bigger than it is right now, not only at the University of Michigan, but across the country, as we're seeing.
Columbia grad student Sueda Pola was up all night negotiating with the leadership of her school over the encampment that has now been in the center of campus for nearly a week.
Last night, the university president said you had until midnight, but you are still here.
We've been in negotiations with the university and since Friday.
The school giving the students another 48 hours after they agreed to a number of conditions, including dismantling tents and stopping harassment.
It's part of our commitment to being in the space, keeping it nonviolent, free of harassment, and open to people regardless of any political belief.
As the school grapples with finding a balance between freedom of speech and student safety, a visit today from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, who was booed by the crowd.
I am here today joining my colleagues and calling on President Shafik to resign if she cannot immediately bring order to this chaos.
Mr. Speaker, if you were the president of Columbia University today, what would you do about this tent encampment?
I would immediately bring order to the chaos. If necessary, I would call in the NYPD. I would ask the governor to send in the National Guard.
How should people on this campus, students or faculty, protest the war in Gaza? How is it appropriate?
Have a public debate. In the free marketplace of ideas, everybody's views are welcome. You don't censor and silence and shout down, which is what's happening here, viewpoints you disagree with. That's not the respect for free speech.
New quality productive forces is a concept proposed by President Xi Jinping last year, which strives to enhance productivity with the help of technology. The Hong Kong Productivity Council said the city boasts advantages which will facilitate its implementation. Mimo Singhai reports.
The concept of new quality productive forces, also known as MPF, means productivity enabled by technological innovation, which is a departure from traditional economic growth models. The Hong Kong Productivity Council hopes to improve the productivity of the city's companies by helping small and medium enterprises to transform, such as by setting up microfactories. The council said the existing microfactories in the city require an upgrade.
We don't have enough space in Hong Kong. That's the reality. So we need to think out of the box how we can improve our productivities in Hong Kong with limited supply of land. Hong Kong has been doing microfactory concept for the last 50, 60 years. However, our factory are not smart enough. The new demand of the customer is high mix, low volume. So the factory itself, microfactory itself, can provide this type of service through the application of AI, robotics, data.
The council also mentioned Hong Kong's strengths in developing MPF.
I want to remind everyone that Hong Kong is very, very unique. Hong Kong used to be the international hub in bringing capital, business, people into mainland China. So we always call ourselves a super connector, but the application becomes different. How do we leverage our super connector role to enhance our new productive forces?
The chairman said external factors such as geopolitical issues may pose challenges for Hong Kong in developing new quality productive forces. However, he believes the city has the strength to overcome the difficulties. Mimo Singhai, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Good night.